Our next topic is good food for good mood. Did you know that what you eat can affect your mood? We're going to hear all about it with Kathryn Penner, a registered dietitian with Boundary Trails Health Center. Kathryn completed her university degree in Human Ecology, Foods, and Nutrition at the University of Manitoba in 1993 and a dietetic internship at St. Boniface Hospital in Winnipeg in 1995. She has been working with individuals living with chronic health conditions for over 25 years, 19 of which are based out of the Boundary Trails Health Center. Kathryn enjoys living in Morden with her husband and daughter. She has spoken at numerous events in Southern Health Region and regularly facilitates group sessions to help people make sustainable changes to improve their health. Kathryn, we're looking forward to your presentation on good food for a good mood. If you have questions for Kathryn, we will take some time at the end for discussion. So please put your comments and your questions in the video comment or email mentalhealthweek@mymorden.ca. Kathryn, take it away.
All right. Hello. Am I on? All right. I'm on. Okay. It feels very strange. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sitting in my office here at Boundary Trails Health Center, and usually when I present to people in community, it's usually in front of a big group, and I feed off that energy from that group. So here I am talking to Stephanie right now on the screen. And yeah, it's very different. We live in a very different world right now. But thank you so much for inviting me to speak at today's mental health event. I think it is so timely that we do this right now. It's a very, very challenging times for many, as we've already been mentioning. And I think someone earlier mentioned about how we are snacking and grazing more during this time while self-isolating. So I think, yeah, I think it's a really important time to talk about how we can take better care of ourselves and our families, and how important that is to our mental health. So yeah, so our body is very complex. We are certainly not plants. We need a lot more than just soil and sunshine and water. The food we eat contains nutrients that are necessary for the human body to grow and repair itself and sustain life. Of course, sorry, I lost my mouse. There we go. So yeah, so so we eat. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having some challenges here with my mouse. There we go. So so there is no one superfood that is great all by itself, but rather the combination of a variety of foods that make them great and work to their best. So and will help you achieve the 40 to 50 nutrients that you actually need to stay healthy. So to simplify things, if we can compare ourselves to a car needs things like metal for quality structure. It needs electricity to send signals for it to work. It needs fuel for energy, and it needs lubrication so it doesn't seize up. So what does our brain need? Our brain needs things like essential fatty acids, which kind of acts as helps improve the quality of the structure of our brain. It needs things like amino acids, which are proteins, which help with the improve the signals for our brain to work properly. And it has fuel for energy, which are complex carbohydrates. And of course, water is what our brain needs for lubrication so that it functions properly. So the brain is made up of billions of nerve cells. They're called neurons, and they communicate to each other and to the rest of the nervous system. The branches are the axons and dendrites that form the path for transmitters or messages that travel to get to other neurons. And the neurons and axons and dendrites are made from highly unsaturated fats, which makes them flexible and makes them work very fast. So when you think of the brain, the human brain is actually the fattest organ in the body and consists of at least 60% fat. So it's really important that we eat the right types of fat, because saturated fats, which make the cell membranes in our brain and body tissues less flexible or hard, and those are fats that are such as lard or butter or hard margarines, animal fats, and they cause, if you think of a phone call, saturated fats would cause more static in a phone call. So the fats that we want to be choosing more often that are help with brain function is unsaturated fats, and these keep the brain flexible and helps it work more rapidly. And these are softer types of fats, liquid fats like oils and nuts and seeds, and fat that's found in things like avocados. So and these unsaturated fat improve neurotransmitter reception. So yeah, so this is just a slide that shows you the different types of fat. So we have different types. We have unsaturated fats, as I mentioned, and we have saturated fats. We also have what are called trans fats as well. And it's the unsaturated fats that we want to be consuming more of. And we want to be consuming approximately about 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsaturated fat per day. 20% of the brain, of the fat, of that 60%, 20% of that fat in your brain is made from essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6 polyunsaturated fats, and they can't be made in the body naturally and need to come from the diet. So things that contain omega-3s, of course, are fish, fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, trout, even sardines. And things like ground flax seeds also contains omega-3s. So does the oil, flaxseed oil, things like canola oil, soybean oil. Walnuts and soy nuts are also high in omega-3. Omega-6 fats, things like safflower oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, canola oil, walnut oil, avocados, as mentioned before, nuts, even chicken and fish contain omega-6s. And then, of course, there's monounsaturated fats as well that are important for our health, and those are found in many different foods as well. Things like olives and avocados and almonds. A lot of nuts have high amounts of monounsaturated of omega-9s. And interesting about omega-9 fats, a study found that people who ate high monounsaturated fat diets had less inflammation and better insulin sensitivity than those who ate diets high in saturated fat. So that's just an interesting note there. So neurotransmitters are like text messages, if you want to think of it in regards to cell phones. So they're like text messages, and they send messages from neuron to neuron in the brain. So neurotransmitters are made from proteins. So proteins, or what we call amino acids. And so there's different types of amino acids, several types of amino acids, many that are made in the body naturally. However, there are many that are needed by food because our body doesn't make them. So these are called essential amino acids. Um, the type and quality of proteins are important and have a link to mental health. So these are the different 9 essential amino acids that we need to consume in our food that are very important in making neurotransmitters. I'm not going to go through uh, each one and what foods are found in each one because that would take me forever. But most of these foods that contain or foods that contain all 9 essential amino acids are referred to as complete proteins, and maybe you've heard that term before. And complete protein sources sources include things like poultry and meat. It includes seafood. It includes dairy products as well as eggs. Eggs are also a complete protein. So many of us eat these foods every day in certain amounts. There are plant-based foods that contain all 9 essential amino acids as well. Quinoa, buckwheat, and soy are all plant-based foods that contain all 9 essential amino acids, which make them a complete protein. Other plant-based sources of protein like beans and nuts are considered incomplete as they lack one or more of the essential amino acids. However, if you're following a plant-based diet, you can still ensure proper intake of all essential amino acids as long as you eat a variety of plant proteins each day. For example, choosing a variety of incomplete proteins such as beans and nuts, seeds, whole grains, and vegetables can ensure that your essential amino acid needs are met, and even if you choose to exclude animal products from your diet. So when you look at how when you eat protein, it breaks down into amino acids, which are then used to make neurotransmitters. And these neurotransmitters impact our mood, how we feel. If you look at the different neurotransmitters, there, of course, is serotonin. Many of you have probably heard of serotonin, which makes us feel content. It regulates sleep. It regulates our appetite and mediates our moods. And it's made from the amino acid tryptophan. Norepinephrine, epinephrine helps us feel motivated and energized, and it's made from the amino acids, essential amino acids, phenylalanine and tyrosine. And dopamine helps us feel motivated and happy, and that's also made by those amino acids as well. You have the, sorry, I forgot my other graphics. GABA, which helps us focus and reduce anxiety, is made from glutamine, and then enkephalin, it helps us feel calm and pain relieving effects, made from those 4 amino acids as well. So so moving on, we'll talk about the fuel. So we need fuel. Our brain needs good quality fuel, premium fuel, if you want to say. And carbohydrates are what fuel your body. They are the main source of energy that your body uses to function. So your body does need carbohydrates. And like an expensive car, as I mentioned, your brain functions best when it gets that premium fuel. If substances from low premium fuel, such as what you get from processed and refined foods, get to the brain, it has little ability to get rid of them. And diets high in refined sugars, for example, are harmful to the brain. Multiple studies have found a correlation between a diet high in refined sugars and impaired brain function, and even a worsening of symptoms of mood disorders and depression. So if you've ever experienced a sugar crash, then you know that sudden peaks and drops in blood sugar levels can cause you to experience symptoms like irritability, mood swings, brain fog, and fatigue. That's because eating a sugar-laden donut and or drinking a soda causes blood sugar levels to spike upon consumption, and then your blood sugars just plummet. So when your blood sugar inevitably dips back down, hence the crash, you may find yourself feeling anxious, moody, or depressed. Yeah. So interesting to note that chronically high blood sugar levels have also been linked to inflammation in the brain. And as some research has suggested, neuroinflammation may be one possible cause of depression. So premium fuel includes foods such as whole grains, cereals, whole grain cereals, nuts, beans, lentils, fruits, and vegetables because they last longer in the body and prevent quick surges and dips in sugar. So, so when we eat foods like this, it leads to more sustainable energy, improved overall mood, and less swings. So it keeps our car going longer and less swings in energy. So very important that we choose the right types of fuel. Staying hydrated, I just want to quickly mention that staying hydrated is really important, again, for that keeping everything lubricated in our body. So water is really important, and I can't emphasize that enough. If you are actually interesting, if you are thirsty, you are actually already in the first stage of dehydration. And even mild dehydration can affect our feelings and performance and can lead to restlessness, irritability, loss of concentration, and reduced ability to think efficiently. So make sure you're drinking water through the day. The recommendations for water consumption, it really depends on how active you are, whether you're out working in the heat of the day. It could be anywhere between 8 to 10 glasses a day, but that again could be less, it could be more depending on your situation. Alcohol, I just want to quickly mention that alcohol too is a depressant and increases moodiness. It actually blocks neurotransmitters from getting to neurons, so making the communication slow. That is the reason for slow or delayed reactions, thinking, slurring of speech, etc. Also, the liver uses the nutrients thiamine and zinc and other nutrients from your body to metabolize alcohol, and this can deplete your reserves of these nutrients, and that leads to low mood, irritability, possibly aggressive behavior, and can lead to serious long-term mental health problems. So alcohol in the brain is like sending or receiving a delayed text message, if you want to think of it that way. Energy drinks as well, they do the same thing that refined sugar does. It provides a rush surge of energy and followed by a crash. Which increases feelings of anxiety, depression, irritability, difficulty sleeping, difficulty concentrating, and so on. So really important that we limit the amount consumed. If you have foods, beverages with caffeine, it's best to actually have them in small amounts and with food. The second brain. So what about the gut? Quickly talk about this. Did you know that there are almost as many neurons in the gut as in the brain? That's an interesting little tidbit there. So what goes on in the gut affects the brain, and the microbiome, which is the healthy bacteria in the gut, actually creates many of the building blocks for neurotransmitters. Without them, the cells can't make serotonin. 90% of your serotonin is actually produced in your gut. So if we don't have a healthy gut, bacteria, it leaves us open for mental illness. For those that have an irritable gut, most of them will tell you that when they're feeling stressed, their symptoms flare up. But now there's growing evidence that what's going on in the gut can actually affect our mental health. So yeah, so there's good and there's bad. There's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. The good bacteria provides nutrients and helps remove waste from our body, and the bad bacteria can contribute to infections, digestive issues, and weight changes. So yeah, there's so now there's how does this affect our mood? So when bacteria eat, so when the bacteria themselves eat, they produce a gas. And if the good bacteria is eating, they produce a gas that can reduce inflammation and stimulate production of neurotransmitters that have a positive effect on our brain. On the other hand, when bad bacteria eat, they are also capable of manipulating neurotransmitter production and sending negative signals to the brain. So as a bit of a side note, both good and bad bacteria can cause our body to crave the foods that those bacteria eat. So good bacteria can cause an increased craving for good food, and bad bacteria can cause an increased craving for bad food. So some people say you consume what you crave, but someone said you crave what you consume. And I think that's a more accurate picture of what's happening. So feed your healthy bacteria for a healthy mood. Um, and you feed them what they like to help them grow. And these foods are called prebiotics. Prebiotics foods are high in fiber and work best when they are actually raw. So trying asparagus, bananas, especially if they are quite ripe. If they aren't quite ripe, garlic, onions, and there's other ones that you'll notice here: berries, apples, bananas, seeds, legumes, beans, peas, and lentils. They are all good prebiotic choices. Um, and you can also eat bacteria probiotics, which is good bacteria, and are live bacteria that exist in foods. So examples of probiotic foods are things like yogurt, unpasteurized sauerkraut, kimchi, miso soup, kefir, which is a yogurt-like beverage, kombucha, which is fermented tea, tofu, are a few of those foods that contain probiotics. So finding ways to include those type of foods in your diet will also help improve the good, as I mentioned, the good bacteria in your gut, and will also help with your mental health as well. So good food for a good mood checklist. I'm just looking at the time here, trying to keep the time, keeping the time in mind. So a checklist here. So ask yourself these things: are you hydrated? So one way to know, as I mentioned before, if you're already have a dry mouth, you're already at the beginning of stages of dehydration. But also you can check your urine color. So if your urine is a very dark color, it can also mean that you're dehydrated as well. And are you choosing water as your first choice for a beverage, or are you choosing things like juices and pop and iced teas? And there's so many beverages out there now than ever before. But really, what we should be trying to do is choose water as our first choice more often. Are you limiting things like caffeine, alcohol, and energy drinks that can often cause those crashes, those sugar crashes, those caffeine crashes, and can affect how our brain functions? Do you eat at least 3 meals a day? So are you spreading out your energy intake evenly throughout the day? Or are you barely eating anything at the beginning and leaving it all for the end? So that imbalance in your day can also cause challenges when it comes to uh, um, your blood sugar control and so on. So definitely having something. I always tell my clients, try and have something within the first hour of waking. It gets your metabolism going. It provides your body with that fuel that it needs to function properly, for your brain to function properly. And then space your meals about 4 to 6 hours apart is typically what we recommend. So I just had to throw in the Canada's Food Guide, of course, because I'm talking about healthy eating. So this is the new Canada's Food Guide. I'm not going to go into much detail because of the time, but you can definitely go to canada.ca/food guide, and it is all online basically. And there you can get lots of great meal planning tips, snack ideas, recipes, and so on. Just want to draw your attention though to the plate, to the healthy plate that's on the front of the Canada's Food Guide, because that really incorporates all the foods that we just talked about. A quarter of your plate should be those whole grain foods that provide our body with that fuel that our body needs, that our brain needs. A quarter of our plate is those protein foods that provide us with those essential amino acids that our brain needs to make those neurotransmitters. And then a quarter of our plate is fruits and vegetables, which have a lot of important vitamins and minerals and fiber in them that are also very important to brain health as well. So very important that we combine. And all of these foods together actually help one another. So the vitamins and minerals that are found in fruits and vegetables help in the digestion of different amino acids and help in the development of neurotransmitters. So really important that we, and they're also very important for gut health, of course, right? They have all those prebiotics that we talked about. So very important that we try and follow this plate method as much as possible. So so are you using the plate method when you're planning your meals? Or are you just grabbing that quick slice of toast and running out the door in the morning? This might look like a lot of food to some people, but again, that half your plate fruits and vegetables, include a protein with your meal and a whole grain as well. So when you're planning meals, think of this type of plate method when you're planning your meals, and you're going to get all those nutrients that your body needs for good mental health and good overall physical health. Snacks are also very important, especially if you're going long periods between meals or supper to the next morning is a long time. Healthy snacks can be a very important part of your day. So again, I try to encourage people to maybe include some protein with their snacks as well as some high fiber choices. These things help prevent those sugar crashes from happening through the day, gives you that sustained energy that your body needs, and it's going to make you feel fuller longer as a result. And so you'll find that you're not needing to graze all day long as a result if you have some planned healthy snacks in your day. Also, healthy fats, very important to brain health. Healthy fats like your unsaturated fats that we mentioned, those poly and monounsaturated fats, and there's some pictures there of some of those. The saturated fat ones, saturated and trans fats, those are fats that we want to try and limit. You don't have to avoid them completely, but try and limit them. And those saturated and trans fats are found in a lot of the fattier meats, fried foods, hard fats. So if you're adding, using a harder fat in your cooking or your baking, that will be higher in saturated and trans fats as well. If you're reading food labels, you can see on the food label under fat, it does give you the saturated and trans fat amount. You can see where it says daily value percent. In this example, 1 cup of whatever this is 25% saturated and trans fat. If it's 15% or more of a daily value, it is considered high in that nutrient. So 25% would be considered high. If it's 5% or less, it's considered low. So if this said 5%, that would be a little bit more reasonable, but 25%, that's high. I'd probably put that back on the shelf. Are you feeding your brain healthy carbohydrates for energy? So ask yourself, what kind of carbohydrates are you eating? Are you eating refined sugars, fast-acting carbs, or are you eating carbs that are more sustainable, higher fiber choices, whole grain breads and cereals, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grain noodles, whole brown rice, things like that. Are you including those type of carbohydrates in your diet? And lastly, protein. So are you having protein with your meals and snacks? About the size of your palm is what's recommended. So if you look at your hand and the size of your palm, that might be about a 3-ounce piece of chicken or fish. My hands are small, so that would be about mine. I don't know what your hands look like, but it could be about 1 or 2 eggs, again, complete protein. It could be a couple tablespoons of peanut butter, a 1/4 cup of nuts. Those are all good sources of protein. So how is your mental health? Do you need to make changes to how you eat in order to improve your mental health? I always encourage people to set a goal. Try introducing 1 or 2 things that we talked about today that you thought maybe that's something I can do. And it's really important that when you're setting a goal that you make it achievable, something you know you can do, and something that you feel will work in your lifestyle where you're at right now. And introduce it gradually. I try to discourage people from saying they're going to do something 7 days a week, because that doesn't leave you a day where something might go wrong and it doesn't work out. So introduce it gradually into your lifestyle. So start paying attention to how you're eating different foods and how eating different foods makes you feel, not just in the moment, but on a daily basis. Try eating what I call a clean diet for 2 or 3 weeks. That means cutting out all the processed foods and sugar out of your diet, and see how you feel. See how it makes you feel. Then slowly introduce foods back into your diet one by one, and pay attention again to how you feel. So that is it. Minus the few glitches right at the beginning. I think I did okay. And I'm pretty much on time. So if there is any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That's awesome, Kathryn. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, one of the questions I have here is, with the rising cost of food, how can I eat healthy when on a low income?
Right. Yeah. So that is definitely a challenge. I'm going to stop sharing. So, oh, you did. Okay. So you can see me now? So that is definitely a challenge for a lot of people. I would say most people find this challenging. I was in the grocery store the other day. I couldn't believe some of the prices on certain things. And during this time, I think the prices have even gone even higher. So food cost prices, it is hard to eat healthy when you're on a low fixed income. I would agree. Really, I think the first place you need to start is planning your meals at home. Sit down 1 day a week, sit down with family members, and plan out a menu, or plan out even just 1 meal a day. Plan that out. Make sure you check to see what you all have on hand. So check to see if you've got what you have in your fridge and your pantry. You want to make sure you know what you've got on hand so you limit waste. Stick to a grocery list. Make a grocery list with that plan and stick to it. And don't shop when you're hungry. And I also tell people also shop the perimeter as well first, because you're going to get less of those processed foods. And it's those processed foods that are expensive. If you're buying a lot of snacks and junk food, well, I call them junk food, but a lot of snacks and processed foods, that's probably what's going to increase your grocery budget, cost of groceries quite a bit. The other thing I would suggest is cooking from home more often, and because we know that it is definitely cheaper than eating out. Most people, when eating out, their bill could could feed a family of 4 when it's only the 2 of them, right? So we do usually spend a lot more money when we eat out. Buy whole foods. A lot, like I said, a lot of foods nowadays come processed. So like things like shredded cheese. You buy shredded cheese in the grocery store. Why don't you buy block cheese, shred it yourself, and then you can freeze it in little baggies and use it as you need it. It's a lot cheaper that way. Even things like brown rice or oats is going to be cheaper than a lot of processed foods, like processed cereals, for instance. Yeah, so there's lots of different things you can do. You could grow your own produce if you have the space for that. You know, definitely using coupons that are available. And yeah, but I definitely planning is the key. Yeah, I know it's tough to do, but we're all home right now. We all have lots of time. Take some time, plan some meals, and learn how to cook. You know, watch a YouTube video, and there's some great YouTube videos showing how to cook different recipes. I take advantage of that all the time. Yeah, try new things. Any other questions?
Yeah, sounds good. What about vitamins and minerals? Should we take certain ones? What about multivitamins? And what about the people we see that tell us we need to take a certain supplement and avoid all lectins and
You get that last part, Stephanie. What did you say at the end?
Oh, what about avoiding lectins or needing to take other additional supplements? I was just watching a video on Dr. Gundry. I don't know if you've watched that, but it's like no peppers, no tomatoes, no a lot of things. And it can be confusing seeing all this different stuff out there.
For mental health?
Well, I guess that was more weight related, but that could be related to mental health too, and how you feel about yourself and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because poor Italians, man, that's all they live on. I don't know if I agree with that. But well, the like supplements, multivitamins, or vitamins in general, vitamin mineral supplements, that sort of thing. I guess certainly there's nothing wrong with taking a multivitamin. There's no adverse effects that I'm aware of in taking a multivitamin. I think that what I would ask a person if they came to me and asked, I would say, well, what makes you think you need one? Number one. If you feel your diet is deficient in something, like fruits and vegetables, for instance, I think that's where I would try and focus some of my attention on, is how can I eat more fruits and vegetables? How can I fit more fruits and vegetables into my diet? And look at that, and look at it from that angle. But if certainly taking a multivitamin, it's not going to be harmful. You can talk to your doctor about it, of course, if you're concerned. But I don't think a lot of times when I see people, if I feel that their diet is deficient in certain things, I might recommend a multivitamin. But I would definitely look at why that is, why they feel that they might need a multivitamin. In regards to certain vitamins and minerals, again, if we're looking at the healthy plate, we should really be trying to get most of our vitamins and minerals from the food itself. There's lots of different things in food, fiber, antioxidants, all sorts of things in food that actually help in the absorption of these vitamins and minerals that are really important, that you're not going to get in a supplement. In saying that, though, sometimes we might be deficient for whatever reason, like B12, for instance. Sometimes our bodies, as we age, we don't digest those foods or that vitamin very well. And B12, B vitamins in general have been associated with in mental health, and the need for those vitamins are very important. Vitamin D as well. Vitamin D is also another vitamin that's really important for mental health. And so I think if there's one supplement, one vitamin that you should be supplementing in your diet, it should be vitamin D, because especially in the northern hemisphere, we don't get enough of that, especially in the winter months. Hopefully we'll be getting out more, getting more of that sunshine. So Yeah. Does that answer your question? Was
Yeah,
there anything else?
those are great tips and good feedback on vitamins and minerals. If people wanted to talk to a dietitian themselves and figure out which vitamins or minerals or what food they should be thinking about, how would they go about finding a dietitian?
Well, there's a lot of us in the Southern Health region. I work out of Boundary, and I do take self referrals. And my email, kapenner@southernhealth.ca. That's my email. And people can also call me at my office at 204-331-8858. There's also, of course, dietitians at the Agassiz Medical Center in Morden and at the Dr. C.W. Weeb Center in Winkler. And if you're connecting from anywhere in the Southern Health region, there are dietitians in most community. So if you live in Portage, there's dietitians that work out at the clinic and the Portage Hospital and Steinbach as well. Like throughout the region, there's dietitians. You can also go to our Southern Health website, southernhealth.ca, and you can go on the website and you can also go through the steps. I don't have it in front of me right now, so I can't see it, but you can also find where you can access services through the website as well.
That's awesome. I think we've put that link up in the video comments as well, so check that out.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Kathryn.
You're welcome.
Think that's all the questions we have for now, but feel free to touch base with Kathryn or another dietitian if you want to discuss this topic further. Yeah, thanks so much for helping to motivate us to be intentional about what we eat. This video will also be available after the event on City of Morden Facebook page.